are coming to you from our North Catholic Studios in Creamery Township. For this episode of our podcast on North Catholic Athletics, my name is Alex Brown.
And I'm Ryan Ray.
And together we are your hosts for this podcast. Ryan, lots to talk about.
Yeah, there is. There's football, soccer, and volleyball. This team started playoffs up here shortly. Football's got one more regular season game left. Volleyball's got a couple of regular season games for the playoffs. And then soccer, they're both in the playoffs in full stride right now. So both coming off big wins in the playoffs as well. So things have gone. But Alex, let's start off with the football.
Starting out with football, since we last talked, the Trojans have made themselves 9-0 overall, 5-0 in the conference, Ryan. They crushed Deer Lakes 2 weeks ago, 35-0 at home, and they went to Freeport and beat them up 33-7. And the Freeport game was a tough one, Ryan.
Yeah, Freeport was a game that you thought maybe be a challenging one because Freeport was playing really good this year. They had a good record, 5-3 overall. They were 5-0 in conference, and they beat Blackhawk by 10 points, and North Catholic only beat Blackhawk by 2 points. But North Catholic came in there, and right off the bat, they were able to get up to a 6-0 lead. And then they made that 12-0. 2 missed extra points, obviously, which you don't like to see.
No.
But then they scored another one, made it 20-0. But that first score was a 68-yard touchdown pass from Jack Fennell. And then Tyler Mazzios had a 38-yard pass. And then Kyle Topinski had a 20-yard pass. All in the first quarter, so they got off to a good start. That was one of their keys for this game, and they were able to do that.
Joey was off on a hot streak that first half. 20 points for the Trojans early in that one. And then you got a 33-7 final, as I said, but the little things that we talked about, Ryan, earlier in the in previous broadcasts before football games. We talked about the little things, and that's something that you really got to iron out against the good teams, Ryan. As you said, the missed field goal,
the missed
extra points,
PATs.
Yeah, and you got to iron those out before you get too much farther in the playoffs. But other than that, Ryan, good, solid performance.
Yep, nothing to complain about when he went 33-7 against a good team. They passed it well. They ran it well. A pretty even attack with 131 yards through the air and 138 yards through the ground and 16 first downs compared to Freeport's 5. So a very good game overall. But one thing I want to mention, they weren't good on fourth down. They were 0 for 2. That's something they will probably need to do against good teams like Central Valley and Avonworth. So you got to make sure you improve upon that. 2 turnovers. So it wasn't exactly the clean game. But Freeport wasn't able to really, cash in any of those opportunities that North Catholic gave them, and they scored 7 points throughout the game. So the turnovers aren't hurting them right now, but they could hurt them in the playoffs.
The North Catholic defense has not given up a touchdown since they played East Allegheny back in the 24th of September, Ryan. So it's been a while since they've given up a touchdown, and this is the first time that they've done it in a long time. But that defense is so strong that they're in a position where even if their offense is having a bad game, their defense is mostly able to make up for it. But especially with the turnovers. You saw Robbie Kress.
3 turnovers.
Robbie Kress got a 23-yard interception return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter against Freeport, and that's just what they've been doing all year, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, they've explosive plays they've had all year. They've had a turnover almost every game this year, Alex, or some splash play like a block punt or a punt return for a touchdown. They get those splash plays, and they thrive off of them, and that gives them some momentum to carry on the rest of the game.
They play Derry this week, Ryan, in their final game of the regular season, as you previously alluded to. And Derry has not been a good team this year, really not have been. They lost to Deer Lakes 49-0. North Catholic beat Deer Lakes by the score of 35-0. So this game really should be a game that you just play a good first quarter and then you ride off into the sunset.
I like that analogy there, Alex. Yeah, definitely play a clean game, a goal clean game. Put your stars in for the first quarter, and then maybe first 2 quarters, get a good lead. Then you can put some depth players and get them some experience. And it's always good to get good experience. Maybe work out some kinks before the playoffs start. Because as soon as those playoffs start, Alex, it's a winner and go home.
But the Trojans are the Allegheny 7 conference champions once again, and they're going to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, Ryan. And the regular season success of the Trojans over the last several years under Coach O'Shea has been truly remarkable, Ryan.
Yeah, they've been winning a lot of football games. Undefeated season looks like it's going to be this year. Undefeated last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing some really good football, Alex, and they got to keep that rolling
into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs, yeah, but they got a lot of momentum. Of course, they're playing some weaker teams, but Freeport was a good team, and it should have been a close game when North Catholic came in there and played probably their best game of the season. Of course, it wasn't without the hiccups. 2 turnovers is never good, but overall, it was a good game. When you win 33-7 against a team that you probably should be a close game, and then that's a good thing. And that game was actually decided the conference.
The conference championship.
Yeah, the conference championship. Was South Park, they were undefeated in the conference. If they win that game, then they win their conference championship.
Yeah, Freeport.
Or Freeport,
Yeah,
rather,
Freeport
sorry.
really. You're good. Freeport really has had an impressive season. But then you look at overall, when you get in the big picture stuff, you start looking at the playoffs and you start remembering what's happened in the last years, Ryan. You're losing to Elizabeth Ford last season. Elizabeth Ford's not had a phenomenal season. They're
7-2
7-2
overall,
overall,
though.
but they're good in conference. But outside of the conference, they played a couple tough non-conference games, knocked them down 2 losses. What do you think is different about this team than what has been last year? 'Cause, what have you observed from this team that makes this team maybe be that team that can reach that championship game?
I think their defense. I think their defense can keep them in almost any game that they get in. They haven't let up a lot of points this year, and if they can play good defense against teams like Central Valley, Avonworth, Elizabeth Ford, maybe even Sarah Catholic, who's 10-0, or sorry, wrong division there. I was looking through the standings there.
Yeah.
Against like Central Valley, Elizabeth Ford, Avonworth, Freeport even. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tough games that their defense can hold strong. I mean, they're going to be in every single one of the games they play.
Absolutely. And if you want to tune into that game against Derry this weekend, this Friday, it will be on the North Catholic Sports Network. It will start about 6:40, and then we'll get you the game around 7. We'll start with the North Catholic Trojan pregame show, which is what Ryan and myself are chairing, and then we'll give you the game action. And with that now, Ryan, let's talk about the soccer. Let's start with boys soccer. They won their first round of the playoffs in the 8-9 seed matchup against McGuffey, and now they're playing South Park.
Yep, in the game against McGuffey, it was a 1-0 win. A goal by Ryan Shantz, assist from Dylan Greggs. 2 of the finest 15 in the Whitfield class 2A division in all section players.
Phenomenal
there.
seasons.
Congratulations to them. But yeah, it was a good win for them, moving on the next round of the playoffs against the 1 seed that is South Park, Alex. So it's definitely going to be a tough challenge for them. South Park is a really, really good team. They score a lot of goals, and North Carolina's got to bring their best game to win against South Park.
It's going to be a really tough matchup, and that's going to be on the 28th, which is Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at South Park. And as you said, Ryan, this is going to be a really tough matchup. It's not one that you go into too optimistic. It's one you look to stay in the game for as long as you can. But you know what happens in this game, Ryan? If they win or lose, they've had a really solid season overall. They've had their ups and downs. They've faced the adversity, but they kept on going, Ryan, into the playoffs, winning that big game against McGuffey in the atrocious weather that was there on Monday night. They battled the elements, but they persevered. But what have you seen this year, Ryan, from the depth players, especially like the players like Ryan Shantz, and you've seen those sophomores and juniors really step up and contribute?
Yeah, a lot of players have to step up there. They lost a good amount of seniors last year. So definitely younger players, sophomores, and juniors have to step up, take starting roles. There's been a lot of sophomores playing. Jake Stofka's been starting.
Yes.
Francisca Smith's been starting as well.
Both very solid.
Yeah,
seasons.
there's a lot of players that have been stepping up this year and getting North Carolina a good 10-7 overall record, 8-4 conference record, and they've been playing a lot better as of late. They've won their last 2 games. They haven't let up a goal in the last 2 games, so they're feeling it. And if they play their game, they got to play very well, very disciplined.
Very disciplined, yes.
Yeah, can't afford any cards
Yellow
that
cards.
can give that can give South Park any chance. Because South Park, they score a lot of goals this year, Alex. And if you can play good defense, good defensively, clear the ball out, and take your chances when they come, North Catholic has a shot in this game, but they have to play their best game of the season.
Yes, and something we've seen in the girls' game that we broadcast last night, Ryan, is you got to have the offensive zone pressure. If you don't have the offensive zone pressure, there's no shot you're going to win the game because you're never going to get a shot on net. And that's something they really got to work on against a great defensive South Park team who's not given up a lot but scored a lot this season.
Definitely. So, as we mentioned, South Park is one of those very, very good offensive teams. So if you can hold them to a low amount of goals, then you have a shot in any game. Defense and goaltending is going to be key for North Catholic in this game.
And speaking of the North Catholic girls soccer team, let's move over to them as they won their first playoff game as the 1 seed against the 17 seed Waynesburg Central Raiders, and they beat them up 10-0, Ryan, and that was 7-0 in the first half.
Yeah, and North Catholic's just a so much better team than Waynesburg was. They dominated the game from start to finish. And North Catholic, they were great this year, 9-1 overall. They are the 1 seed because they beat Avonworth out for that. They're playing some good soccer, Alex.
They really are, and they haven't given up a goal in their last 4 games, Ryan, and they're really feeling it. 1 goal, in fact, in their last 6 games, and they're in an excellent position to succeed far into this Whitfield playoff as they have in the years past, Ryan.
Looking to three-peat the Whitfield Championship.
Three-peat.
It's always hard to win Whitfield Championship, let alone having a shot to win 3 years in a row, but it's not going to be easy. They have some challengers. Avonworth obviously beat them earlier in this year. Shady Sides 9-0-1. South Morelands 8-1-1. You have Deer Lakes, who's very good too, 7-3.
South Park's
And of
not
course,
bad either.
Elizabeth Ford is undefeated as well at 8-0-2. So there's a lot of good teams. So
A lot
it's
of
not
good
going to be
teams.
easy for North Catholic. They got to bring their A game every single time. They're playing York this Saturday.
And York's not a bad team either. They had a really solid season. And they beat their opponent in Deer Lakes 3-1 to advance to play North Catholic. They beat teams like York beat teams that they just played, Waynesburg Central this year, by the scores of 3-1 and 2-0, and North beat them by the score of 10-0. I don't know what that tells you, but if you can judge based on the score, it should be another win for the Trojan Nets this weekend.
Yeah, I don't like reading too much into that because teams bring different type of games, play different type of games depending on who they're playing. Yeah, maybe just play a different type of ball, and I don't like a team that beat 7-0 and a team that beat 4-0. There's not really that much difference really in the scores. It's 3 goals.
No.
And maybe a couple months his team gave up once they let up 4, and then I just don't like looking that much into scores. Maybe confidence-wise, like, hey, we beat this.
Yeah, just take it with a grain of salt.
But don't read that much into that.
But it's going to be a tough game this weekend. They'll be at Mars at 1 o'clock this Saturday, and hopefully the Trojan Nets win that one and advance in their Whitfield run in their quest for the three-peat. And from there, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about the Trojan Net volleyball team, who is now played their first game. Whitfield run as they beat Ligonier Valley very convincingly on Wednesday night, and now they're moving on to the second round.
They've had a great season this year, Alex. They're 12-0-1, had a big win over Avonworth, who's one of the top teams in the state. It's North Catholic and Avonworth right up there. It's been a battle, and that was a big 5-set win there for North Catholic. And they've been playing really, really good this year. Coach
Feder.
Yeah, Coach Amanda Feder has just been a great coach for them this year. He's gotten them ready to play. Even after losing some big seniors last year, and Elizabeth Fesco, they picked up right where they left off, and they have their last regular season game. They beat Ligonier Valley in the last regular season game, so hopefully they can keep that going into the playoffs, Alex.
And as we talked to her at the beginning of the year, we talked to her on the first day of school on that Monday, first real day of school on that Monday. We talked to her about the team, and we asked her about how close they are as a group. And they kept on saying the word family. We're such a big family. And Ryan, you've played on so many teams over your time at various different levels of playing in various different sports. How much easier is it to win as a team when you like each other and you really have a good group and a good bond?
Well, I'm sure you could answer this the same way as well, but it's definitely like when it's a family, everyone is trying to achieve the same goal, part of the same process. You just want to win for each other so much more, because if it's something like that you don't get along or you don't like the team, like what urge is there to really win?
Yeah.
I mean, all the players, they echo that same thing that Coach Feder said, how they are a family. They have so much fun. I mean, they seem so happy, like, when asked to describe what the culture is like, they just seem it's like a family, and they have so much fun at the team. They enjoy going to practice, enjoy going to games, and that's the type of culture you need to win championships and to win a lot of games.
And that's exactly what Coach Feder has brought to this program over the last several years, and they're looking to do it again this year by this time winning the Whitfield and then going back and winning states this year as they got out last year and they ended up getting third place overall in the states, and they're looking to get first this year. And that's always a goal with these teams. They always have something, like the girls' soccer team. They lost in the states championship last year by 1 on a penalty kick. It does not get more gut-wrenching than that kind of a loss. But when you have that kind of motivation, it really propels you to want to get back to that spot and achieve what you didn't get last season, Ryan.
Yeah, just motivation. There's so many things that you can do for motivation. Teams do it constantly. I mean, you just hate the feeling of losing. And when you get that feeling, especially to a team that you're playing and a rival, it just makes you want to win that much more and practice that much harder and work that much harder in the games that you get to win. And now, let's move on to the golf team, Alex.
Yes.
They had a great this year. Whitfield
really have.
Team golf champions. Great for them. Justin Costle, Tommy Burke, Zach Cause, Tegan McTighe, Ethan Ellis, and Eric Schneider, all members of that team, the top 6, and they played great. And Team Whitfield's take her down Quaker Valley to win the Whitfield Championship. They moved on states and got 4th in states as well. So a great season for them. And individual Whitfields, Ethan Ellis qualified for states as well. So congrats to him. Successful season for North Catholic Golf.
It really has been. It's a young program, Ryan. As you keep on getting new and more people involved in it, the better and more successful the program's going to be. And we'll see that as the years go by here at North Catholic. A little bit about hockey. They play this Thursday at Wheeling Park in their fourth game of the season, looking to bounce back after a couple losses and looking to turn that one around with a win on Thursday down in Wheeling. And with that, that's about all we have to cover for today's program.
Not as long as some of the podcasts.
No.
We covered a lot of sports. Hopefully we'll be talking about some Whitfield playoff wins in our next
Absolutely.
podcast, Alex.
Maybe some championships, too, in there. And we'll be broadcasting the girls' game, the girls' soccer game this Saturday at 1 as they play York. We got the football game this Friday at 6:40, and we'll be bringing it all to you on the North Catholic Sports Network.
Yep, and remember, we are one-stop podcast for everything North Catholic athletics.